In the year 2040, entertainment has gone completely off the rails. The world's recovering from the Robotronic wars, cities are still glowing from radiation, and people are desperate for a distraction. Enter Nuclear Gladiators 3000, a violent, neon-drenched bloodsport beamed straight into your retinas by Blaster Vision Channel. It's part satire, part chaos, and somehow, one of the most addictively replayable roguelites you'll touch this year. What makes Nuclear Gladiators 3000 instantly stand out isn't just the premise, it's how self-aware it is. The whole thing plays like a retro TV broadcast on steroids, a warped love letter to 80s sci-fi and 90s game shows. The announcers sound like they were ripped from late-night infomercials. The sponsors are pumping dopaminol into your veins, and the audience cheers as you shred mutants into pixelated pulp. It's absurd, loud, and exactly the kind of post-apocalyptic entertainment people in this world would die for. And you probably will too. Underneath the satire, though, this is a tight, well-tuned Survivor-style roguelite. You're dropped into the exclusion zone, facing relentless waves of mutants, rebels, and radioactive nightmares. Every run starts small, a weak blaster, limited movement. But as the timer ticks and your fame grows, so does the carnage. You pick up upgrades, chain kills for multipliers, and before long, the screen's a mess of explosions, neon blood, and flashing score pop-ups that would make old-school arcade fans grin. Each gladiator feels distinct, too. You might start as the all-around brawler with decent balance, then unlock the glass cannon speedster who vaporizes everything but can't take a hit. Others come with defensive drones, area attacks, or weird experimental tech that changes how you approach each wave. There's a nice sense of identity here, not just different stats, but different ways of surviving the madness. It pushes you to experiment instead of locking into one build that always works. And the more you play, the deeper it gets. Between matches, you spend fame points and rewards upgrading gear, unlocking modifiers, or boosting your gladiator's core abilities. It has that roguelite loop perfected, die, improve, dive back in, except here, it's drenched in the aesthetic of corporate propaganda and hyper-commercialized warfare. The game constantly mocks itself, the audience, and the whole concept of televised heroism. You're literally risking your life for dopamine and sponsorship deals, and the way the writing leans into that joke is both funny and unsettling. Then there are the bosses, the champions of the show. Each one's introduced like a celebrity villain. Slow-mo shots, over-the-top names, and cheesy announcer hype. But they're no joke in combat. These fights spike the difficulty hard, forcing you to use every upgrade and reflex you've earned so far. The arenas tighten, the hazards pile up, and every victory feels like surviving a twisted episode of Running Man meets Mad Max. One thing that deserves praise is how well Nuclear Gladiators 3000 nails the quick-run pacing. Each session can last just a few minutes, but you always feel like you've made progress. Even short runs unlock something, new weapons, permanent upgrades, or fame bonuses that make the next attempt more explosive. It's perfect for that just one more loop that roguelite fans crave, but it doesn't demand an hour-long commitment per session. You can jump in, blast a few waves, and still feel rewarded. Visually, it's pure pixel art chaos, but not in a lazy way. There's this sharp use of color and lighting, radioactive greens, burning oranges, and TV signal pinks that make every explosion and hit effect pop. The character sprites ooze personality. The UI feels like an old CRT overlay, and the menus mimic a vintage broadcast studio. It's immersive and ridiculous at the same time. You're not just playing a roguelite, you're starring in a dystopian reality show, and the game never lets you forget it. The soundtrack seals the deal. It's a pounding mix of synthwave and industrial noise that keeps your adrenaline up even between waves. Every kill feels synced to the beat, and it ties perfectly into the showbiz tone. When you're on a roll, dodging, blasting, upgrading, it's like a rhythm game dipped in gasoline. But what makes this game really interesting is how it rewards fame over survival. It's not just about killing enemies, it's about putting on a show. The better you perform, the higher your audience rating climbs, unlocking extra rewards and unique sponsor perks. It's a meta layer that adds tension. Sometimes you'll risk your life for a stylish combo just to keep the crowd roaring. And that's exactly what the fictional producers want. It blurs the line between gameplay strategy and pure spectacle, and it's genius. Ultimately, Nuclear Gladiators 3000 is a game that doesn't just parody the future, it kind of predicts it. It's about how entertainment devours everything, even apocalypse itself. It's fast, brutal, funny, and self-aware in the best way. Beneath the explosions and mutant gore, there's a real understanding of what makes this genre addictive. Tight gameplay, quick dopamine loops, and a world you can't look away from. So if you're into survivor-style roguelites, retro-futuristic worlds, or just want to laugh while you blow up irradiated freaks for fame and profit, this one's worth watching and playing. Whether you survive long enough to make it into the Hall of Fame or die in front of a screaming crowd, Nuclear Gladiators 3000 will make sure you go out in glorious pixelated style.
Nice combo! Improve your arsenal! for break. Push your luck. Improve your arsenal!
Just
5
minutes remaining. Just 4 minutes remaining.
Improve your arsenal! Improve your arsenal! Improve your arsenal!